with Alan Moore, my friend. So my other friends were here to celebrate the life of Tom Hall, who was a local Northampton musician, and I quote Alan saying that he was the soul of this town for a long time, and maybe still is, in a lot of ways. I mean, maybe he still is.
Yeah, well, I think that he always will be. I remember that at Tom's funeral, making remarks to the effect that the nature of sound, I mean, it's a vibration, isn't it? Vibrations never actually stop. They just get smaller and smaller and smaller. So every note that Tom ever played is, in a certain sense, embedded in the actual bricks and mortar.
Still resonant.
It's still resonating. I mean, Tom was kind of perverse about how he handled his career. He could have been a global figure. You know, I mean, he was a global figure.
Well, no, I think the quality he's writing makes him such, doesn't it? I mean, the quality he's writing's adaptable in any idiom.
He was as good as a Tom Waits or someone like that, and that is not something.
No, that's right. No, that's not. Yeah.
It's but I mean, the thing with Tom, like I was saying to you earlier, that he sent me that Christmas card with a picture of him striding down Bridge Street, scowling, and he put on it in magic marker, "I'd rather be a big drunk in a little bar than a little drunk in a big bar."
Yeah.
And I mean, that was Tom.
I mean, that wasn't plain egocentrism, was it?
No, it was
just more than that, wasn't it?
It was more than that. It was that he did not want to. He knew what that world was like. He didn't want to deal with that because it would have felt dishonourable or lowering himself.
Yeah.
He wanted to deal with the world completely on his terms. That was the most important thing for him.
Yeah.
He would never have described himself as this, but I think that Tom was just about the perfect anarchist.
Right.
He was self-governing.
Yeah. He was a complete autonomous body unto himself.
Absolutely. He was practically a planet unto himself.
A planet unto himself.
He got. I mean, he was such a large figure in every sense.
Right.
He practically got his own postcode. You know, it was. Tom had got gravity.
Yeah.
You know.
And gravitas.
Absolutely, and I mean that was unnerving for some people.
Right.
The first time I met him, I thought, God, he disturbs me, because I was, 16, and I thought, this man disturbs me because he is so completely himself that he makes me feel like a ghost.
Right.
He makes me feel insubstantial.
Insubstantial.
I feel that I am not the man that he is.
Right.
And so Tom, you had to rise to the challenge. Tom.
Right.
You had to try and be the person that you were in the way that he was being the person that he was.
Yeah.
You know, there was no point trying to be like Tom Hall, but to do what Tom Hall had done in chiselling himself out an identity.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, those play school pyjamas that he used to wear, the sort of the dungarees with teddy bears, picnics on them.
Yeah.
That was a kind of suit of armour. Because you saw Tom coming down the road.
That's like Runyon, right?
Yeah. It's like, you look at, you think, there's this huge, fat guy, and he's got a beret, and he's got teddy bears over his, and you sort of think, he wouldn't be dressed like that unless he could handle himself.
That's right, yeah. It's like Ezra Pound and the big felt hat made out of snooker table felt.
It's a form of, it's saying, look, on what I am doing.
Come and speak to me, you'll find it.
Yeah, and I can remember Tom one night, I ran into him, he said, I've just bumped into a bunch of lads, these hip-hop lads. He said, and they shouted across the road at him about the way he was dressed. So Tom had said, well, at least I haven't put my clothes on Inside Out.
Aye.
And they all came across the road and were towering over him.
Yeah.
And they said, oh yeah, you want to make something of it?
A proper
And
dick.
Tom had his walking stick and he said, very well, he said, but you should know you're dealing with a master swordsman. And he dropped his walking stick point first on the pavement, it bounced up and he caught it. And they all looked at each other and they said, yeah, all right then, we'll shelve it, but next time.
No!
I mean, Tom was absolutely fearless.
Yeah, right.
And you could see it in his eyes.
Yeah. No point putting a gun in this guy's hand, mate.
I remember a very jittery medicine head and drug casualty who, I mean, a jittery person of that nature can do anything.
Yeah.
And I remember him pulling out a straight edge razor because he was offended by something that Tom had said, which was probably completely an accurate description of this person. But this person sort of pulls out this straight edge razor and Tom just said, yeah, cut it there.
Right.
And the guy fled.
Right.
You cannot.
Yeah.
You can't. Tom was impervious.
Yeah, right.
He was so much himself that he was invulnerable
Yeah, right.
to the things that plagued us lesser mortals.
Right,
You know?
Because I was speaking to Stevie Garofalo yesterday, and he was saying something similar. He was saying, you know, when Tom would be doing gigs, you know, somebody would walk in the room, a bit arrogant, maybe a bit flighty, and he would check him and wouldn't say anything. But in the course of the show, he'd start making comments and he'd start deconstructing this person. Right, so he'd a penchant for that kind of thing all the time. Yeah?
Oh yeah, Tom. He'd got his day side and his night side. Both of them were equally entertaining and fascinating. But sometimes you could see if something about the gig had not really gone right with Tom, or if his alcohol balance had perhaps just tipped over into the other end of the spectrum, he could be quite a nightmare because there was that force of personality, but he wasn't using his powers for good anymore. But like I say, that was always fantastic, and I never really saw him do it to anybody who didn't deserve it.
The only thing is as well, that's right into there's no malice in this guy.
No.
So there was never any malicious intent. So when he satirised somebody, I heard you say something about satire. Film somebody showed me just before Christmas there, that a friend had made, where you said, you know, you're practicing magic and things. This is to digress slightly, but come back to the book we're talking about. You said, you know, I'll do my magic with words. So for instance, you know, like say Molière or somebody, you know, if they wanted to denigrate somebody in society generally, they would write a satire, and that would stick.
Yeah.
It might stick for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
This is
the bardic tradition of magic.
And it's also the tradition that Tom worked in,
Absolutely.
right? Tom works in this bardic tradition, this local bardic
Absolutely.
tradition. You don't get records of Tom. You got to go and find them.
Well, yeah, and this is it. And Tom was kind of recording the street life of Northampton, its flora and its fauna. And I remember one of his songs, which I've only heard him play once when I was roadieing for him at a gig in Wolverhampton, and it was a song called Whistling Walter, and it was about this shell-shocked World War I veteran who was ubiquitous around Northampton all through the time that I was growing up. He shuffled around. Apparently that was because his toenails had actually grown round and into the underside of his foot.
It's a trauma or what?
Well, he was born happy.
Born happy.
You know, and sort of, and he would whistle.
PTSD friends.
He would whistle. He would get free rides on the buses because he'd just stand on the back of the bus, whistling, and the conductor would say, "Yeah, that's 5p," and he'd just be whistling until it got to his stop, and then he'd get off, still whistling. He was also an incredibly unpleasant man. He would scream abuse at everybody. But Tom, he did this song. Yeah, he's a very happy man, and he gets it together in a most unusual way. It was just this lovely little happy song, and yeah, in his lyrics there are references to people that he knew, people that I know. It doesn't matter if you don't know these people because, you know.
Because the portraits apply, right, across the board there.
Yeah.
So when you matter, you listen to this because that's what good songs are about.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who they're mentioning because you know somebody like that.
That's right. They put it. That's what he's good at. He's like Harry Nilsson does this.
Mm-hmm.
Harry Nilsson, you know, something like Mr. Richland's favourite song. You know, Harry Nilsson. Everybody knows that guy. You know, when he was young, he sang in the band and his friends looked all the same. You know, everybody knows that guy.
Yeah.
You know, in this day and age, might have got to round 3 on X Factor, and who works down the local McDonald's, and everybody goes in there and ripples the shit out of him. But in that day, that wouldn't be happening. It was gentler times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
that's the same as that, right?
That's it. I mean, it's sort of like, and Tom, I'll tell you, yeah, he did portraits of people that were around him, but the breadth of his interests. I remember when he came round to my house after I'd just had the Seaview plaque outside, and I'd had people sort of saying, "Oh, why have you put that up?" And you can't see the sea from your house. And I said, "No, you can't because actually we're the furthest point inland, and it's a kind of an ironic joke, you know, that you wait for global warming to kick in. I'm going to have a nice bit of beachfront property here, and then you're going to be laughing on the other side of your face." Now, when Tom saw
as we
it,
sit here being eaten by mosquitoes in fucking February. Bad ecology, friends, it's just round the corner.
I noticed a mosquito in my house just the other
Hey,
day.
Fangolo,
Yeah.
Streatham is a quagmire and is rife with them.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening.
It's bad ecology.
But sort of,
I sang about it on my last LP, Shoplifting for Jesus. I thought I'd just get that in.
That works, please.
Now, what the hell was I just saying about Tom?
We were talking about how Tom.
Oh yeah, it was.
He was able to, not just stereotype or satirise people. He was able to conjure up a clear portrait of the people you know.
We were talking about
in
my house
any walk of life.
and my house next to Seaview, and
Sorry about that.
he knew exactly why I put that there. He said, "Yeah, this is the same as me. Most of my songs are about the ocean." And I remember another friend of mine, Bob Goodman, the actor. Bob, for some reason, likes to hang around in alleyways at 2 in the morning.
You're a moss man.
Yeah, and he was walking
looking
up
for
one of those back entry alleyways around the back where I live, and he ran into Tom, who was walking the dog. And they were talking about the alleyways. And Tom said, "I think that these are inland canals. These are Northampton's canals."
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It's capillaries. That's beautiful, isn't it?
And he got all of his songs ranged all over the world. Places that he had been, places that he'd never been. Perhaps particularly places that he'd never been.
That's right.
Got that.
Because that's the power it has medium.
Yeah.
Being a writer myself, who's managed to touch people in places I'll never see.
Yeah.
It's the power of the songs. It does have has the ability to travel cross all these language barriers, cross all these barriers. It was,
And like the yearning of somebody, it's like Brian Wilson writing
Because
songs
not-
about the beach when he's sitting
Yeah.
there in a dark room with his feet in a sand tray.
yeah.
Sometimes the yearning for a place,
Yeah.
and that was what was in
Aye.
Tom's songs.
That's right.
And I'll tell you what, as a writer, forgetting about the songwriting,
Yeah.
and that's difficult to do with the range of songs that Tom did, but as a writer, that piece, Moses for Christmas,
That's,
that
you know, I read it this morning. It's a beautiful piece.
it's fantastic. The description of him cooking a curry.
That's fucking wonderful.
You know, the jewelled with cardamom.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's so tactile.
Yeah.
He could have been anything. that he
It's tang, no, and
wanted
it's
to be.
tangy eyes. That's really great descriptive writing.
You know, there's.
That's that curry.
I wish I'd written that.
Yeah.
That is brilliant. That is writing.
Yeah, that's writing, isn't it? Yeah, I wish I had wrote it.
Yeah.
So that's 2 years. Wish we wrote it.
Yeah.
There's another thing with Tom. Is like we were saying earlier. You know, he come out with this tradition. And it's a different tradition from Martin McCarthy and the Fairports, isn't it? You know, who were like sort of very quickly embroiled in the whole pop thing. Tom wasn't about that, was he? Tom wasn't about being incorporated in the pop music. Tom was just about playing music, and that was it.
That's it. And he didn't like those people. And they were great, but
Yeah, wonderful.
they embraced a kind of category which defined them. And Tom completely refused that. Like the first album that he did that I got was Tales from the Greenwood's Edge,
Right.
which was when he was in the Ratcliffe Stout Band
Okay, right.
with his wife Di and with Dave Turvey in a jester's outfit with a pig's bladder on a stick.
Well, that's a presentiment, Dave. No.
And I mean, this album, it's a beautiful folk album. It's got these songs that sound like they could have been written in Elizabethan England.
Yeah. They're like madrigals and things, you know.
They're kind of like that. There's
Yeah.
ones about the swan is a bird of England.
Yeah.
And then he'd do other albums which were sort of, he seemed to like moving into different areas of music. Some of it was like cabaret music.
Yeah.
It had got that kind of darkness and depth to it.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
You mean like Brecht Weil, like the the German cabaret of the 20s?
absolutely, Brecht and Weil.
Yeah.
It had got those. The
They wrote
music-
Brechtian songs.
Yeah, and I mean, amongst many other things. Some of his, he did comical numbers. I remember when we had my entire family, we decided to get everybody in my family together under one pub roof to honour my Aunt Lou's birthday. We called it the Night of the Living Moors, and then my Aunt Lou actually died
Even
2
great
days
bit of fun.
before, and but we had this night, and we got Tom Hall and Guy Fletcher, and Tom was immediately beloved
Yeah.
by the entire room.
Old clan.
And then he did Volga Olga, which none of them had heard before,
Yeah.
but all of them were singing along by the very first chorus,
Yeah.
as if they'd been hearing it all their lives.
Yeah.
He'd got that universality.
Yeah.
You know, he was great with kids. I remember coming home one Christmas Eve. I'd been out shopping. I got home, and my daughters, who were then about 14, 16, they'd been in the house on their own, and Tom had come round to visit me, and they said, "Oh, Dad will be back soon." And Tom had got a little bit of rouge on his cheeks. He'd got sort of holly in his beret.
Yeah.
And I remember my daughters coming up to me and saying, "Dad, Tom is Father Christmas." No, he is Father Christmas. And I said, "You found my mushroom."
Yeah,
and they had,
Yeah.
but I knew what they meant.
Yeah.
It was like, because the initial idea of Father Christmas, it was a spirit of cheer.
Aye, a
that if
bunker,
you were
aye.
very lucky, might visit your home as it's not as a physical person, but as a spirit of cheer. Whereas with Tom Hall, it was as a physical person as well.
Wasn't there a whole tradition in the Middle Ages of the avuncular thing? You know, like these visiting sort of, you know, these visiting spirits. They would sort of, you know, bestow this feeling. You know,
yeah. Well, I mean, that was the initial
viewed with that, right?
Père Noël or whatever.
Right.
That
Yeah,
kind
the
of
Siberian
thing.
mushroom Santa, like you're
Yeah,
saying.
It's sort of, but that was Tom. He was archetypal. He was from a different world. It was like at the funeral I said he came from an England where a cow was still worth 5 magic beans of anybody's money.
Yeah.
That was the world he came from.
Yeah.
It was the world of Jack in the Green and sort of giants. Possibilities. A different England.
Yeah, man.
An English dream time.
Yeah.
And he was the figure destroyed. He was the man that John Falstaff.
Falstaff. Right.
He was the man that Falstaff would have liked to have been.
Right. Yeah.
You know, he had got that look, he'd got that energy, but he could back it up.
Right.
He wasn't secretly a coward.
Yeah. Nobody's going to wake up with his pocket picked. Yeah.
No, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
No, he was, and I don't even feel that he's dead.
No, right.
It's like with somebody
And he's
like
not,
that.
is he? Because,
Of
I mean,
course
you know, like, this is what we're talking about now. It's, you know, this LP that's just come out, these 26 songs interpreted in different ways by different people, including myself.
Yeah.
And these songs are impermeable, you know,
And there's always new. I mean, like one of your the most striking of your two contributions, Jake. I mean, like that Take Me Back to Berlin is truly the first time I heard that. I thought when I heard Tom sing it, I thought this is a charming little song, light-hearted, bit like Matt with Knife. I really like it, and it will never sound like that to me again. Jake, it's now I've heard your version.
mine's just Mac and I filtered through Ulrika Meinhof.
Certainly, yeah.
It's pretty,
Astrid Troll and so it's.
Astrid was good looking.
In Singland, that
Ulrika was handsome.
But the thing is, you've taken that particular song and you've realised it in a completely different way because you can do that with Tom's song.
This is the point. Yeah, this is the point. We were talking about this last night, me and Graham Cousins, about how he would have liked the way that things have been adapted. I mean, some have been adapted in a traditional way, some are like almost direct covers, and then like somebody like me that never knew his work, that didn't know him, and wasn't even touched by his work till we heard it. You know, so it gives us, you know, shows us that the way you can tear songs like that apart. Real songwriter, like you know, songs like a M60, you got to learn how to take it apart, put it back together again. You know, might save your life one day in combat. Turkish delight. You know, I shouldn't be saying that with what's going on over there. And 23 miles across the water, but that's a different story.
Now this was the breadth, and just as a writer, that sort of like I say, Moses for Christmas, the other pieces that I read by him, he could have literally done anything.
Yeah.
He was a multi-instrumentalist, and yet he started out as a sports hero.
Yeah.
He was a marvellous cricketer.
Was he?
Good at rugby, and then apparently he went to art school, and one of the first people he saw was the impossibly dissolute Dave Turvey, with women draped all over him because they thought he was going to die, and it was so poetic, and so Tom thought.
Young Rambo.
Tom thought, yeah, that's what I want. I'm going to go and learn to play the guitar and the mandolin and be a bohemian,
Yeah.
so that I can get some of this action.
Right.
And thus Tom Hall, as we know him, was born.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, became.
and he was a moddy boy to start with.
Right.
I mean, his first band was there was a lot of drug puns
Okay, right.
in the various bands that
Right.
there was the Dubious Blues band that was referencing Dubious,
Yeah.
and then he was in the Flying Garrick, which
Sharina.
eventually
Muscaria.
he got round to alcohol with the Ratliff Stout band, you know,
Right.
but sort of he was pretty comprehensive,
Yeah.
you know. Yeah, he was great. I played support. I wasn't very good. Me and another guy played support at the Bath Festival
Right.
one year.
That's in his lordship's grounds there. Is that right?
I think so. Well, it was right. We ended up stopping at some friends of Tom and Diane's down there who'd got absolutely no food in the house at all. We were starving. The van was breaking down. And when we got home, I think I must have eaten just about a day's food in about 10 minutes. But yeah, being on the road with Tom, it was always an adventure.
Right.
You know,
Even got it Bath, right?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Even going to Wolverhampton,
Like Wolverhampton.
he enchanted any area that he happened to be.
I was in Wolverhampton recently, and anybody that can make it enchanting is fucking very good.
Yeah, a magician. It's and he was just nice to have around the corner. He lived around the corner from
Because that's how
me.
you was at school at the same time?
No, because Tom was, what, 10 years?
Oh,
About
okay.
9 years, 10 years older than me.
Right.
And I mean, the first time I met him was when I was about 15, 16. I joined the Arts Lab, and some of the Arts Lab were generally older guys than us. They were sort of in their 20s.
Okay, right.
But we all used to drink at the same pub. And they said, look, we're going to do this poetry evening. We're thinking of getting our mate Tom Hall to do some backing to the poems. So we all went around to Tom's house. There was Tom, there was Diane, and it was a lovely evening. And that a kind of occasional collaboration with Tom would sort of be a feature of pretty much the rest of my life.
Wow.
You know.
That's nice. So we can then do this. Tell everybody to buy the record, isn't it?
Yeah,
I
you
say
did
isn't
this.
it because I don't see it in it. I have not lived in South London for 32 years and I still refuse to speak in such a way
Remarkable
because
statement.
like Tom, I'm somebody that really appreciates the local, and the only thing that makes me local is the way I speak. Not being able to speak any Scottish. You know, I can only speak English in a Glasgow accent. I do digress again. So leave it like, you know, like I say, everybody should go out and buy this album. It's a portrait Tom Hall, some Grassroots Records.
Yeah, get it. This is a fantastic album. I heard it the other night. I was astonished by it. I saw it for the first time today. It is a beautiful little artifact, and it's broad enough, almost broad enough. In 2 albums, 44, 45 tracks, it's almost enough to encompass a figure as gigantic as Tom Hall. It is a marvellous album. You really need it. Go ahead and get it.
Yeah, and it's a point of departure anyway, because apparently there are loads of other works extant for Tom Hall. We just need to dig out and need people's enthusiasm to do it. So people show a bit of enthusiasm for this. You get more good work, and there can't be enough good work in the world, right? Because 99% of work, as we know, is shite.
Yes. And so for these little rare bits of culture that actually aren't showing, we all ought to work a bit harder.
That's right.
We'll-
Root about and find it.
Yeah. Check out. Let's get Water in the Spirits released
That's
again.
right. Yeah. But
Let's get
the
all
water
of
going.
Tom's many albums out there. You know.
Far out. Okay.
I'll go there. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Talking about your pal.
No, that
We
was
used to deal with it.
right, man.